Owning a business is confusing enough as it is without trying to work out what you're supposed to be spending on ads. Today, I'm going to break down how to actually figure this out, and I promise it's a lot easier than you would think. So there are so many different advertising budget strategies out there. When I was at uni and later teaching at my university, the one that was the most relevant in a lot of cases is called the objective and task method. And this is the one we also use today in our agency because we just find it's the most relevant method for our clients who are growing and scaling small to medium businesses. The really basic formula you're going to use to work out what your ad budget should be is simply your number of results. So if you're trying to get sales, how many sales? If you're trying to get leads, how many leads? Number of results multiplied by the cost per result. So what each of those sales or each of those leads or whatever you're aiming for is going to cost you, or what you're willing to spend on it. And when you multiply those two together, that's how much you're going to need to spend. So let's just say you want 100 orders a month and you're willing to spend $20 on each of those orders. So if you want 100 orders a month and you're willing to spend $20 on each of those, you're going to need to spend at least $2,000. Simple, right? So that's the first step. Now, of course, like I mentioned, there are a couple of other things you want to think about, testing and competition. So we'll break those down next. So you want to think about is that testing and learning phase. Ads platform needs to go out and learn, okay, what kind of people are most likely to make a purchase with this particular brand, and I'm going to show the ad to more people like that so I can get these results. As a general rule of thumb, the platforms don't have the best idea of what that person looks like until they've gathered those first 50 or so results. And until you've got those first 50 or so results, your ads are still in the learning phase. So in other words, the ads platform is still trying to figure out how to best show your ads, who to show them to, and where to get those results for you. So here's where you might want to look at your budget. We know now that we're not going to get out of this learning phase until we've got our first 50 purchases. If we spread out our budget evenly, it's probably going to take us about 2 weeks to get out of that learning phase. Now, in an ideal world, you want to try and get out of that learning phase within the first 7 days. On TikTok ads, you ideally want to try and get out of that learning phase in the first 24 hours. Looking at this, I'd say, okay, ideally want to be spending $1,000 a week so we can try and get out of that learning phase in the first 7 days. Budget was only $2,000 a month. You could certainly still run the ads. It just means it's going to take you longer to get those results. Okay, so finally, competition. What are your competitors spending on ads? The way any kind of online advertising works is it's actually an auction, right? And the platforms are just going, okay, I've got these many ads I need to show to people, and different advertisers are spending all these different amounts. And then I've got these users over here that I can show the ads to. And you're basically just bidding against your competitors to get in front of your audience. And that's why you will see your cost per result. It fluctuates all the time. Every single day, every single minute, you are competing against those other advertisers for your audience's attention, and you are charged accordingly. So it's not just about who spends the most, it's a combination of who spends the most and who has the best ads. So if your budget is small, you can absolutely still run ads successfully, but it does mean you have to be creative and you have to have really, really good ads in order to stand out. The other way you can compete when you know you have competitors going after the same audience is making sure that you are just using ads as one part of your wider marketing funnel, right? So things like having a really great organic presence, having an amazing website, using things like email marketing to keep in touch with people for free. Using all of these things together is going to be your best bet to actually give yourself a fair chance of competing, particularly if you know you're working with a smaller budget. If you're wondering how you can get an idea of what your competitors are spending, when you set up ads in pretty much any platform, you start setting up those audiences or popping in the keywords that you want to target, they will give you an idea of what you should be spending or what other competitors are spending for those same results to reach that same audience. So you can usually see when you're setting up campaigns and get a bit of an idea. And sometimes it is quite shocking. I did a, ad set up on LinkedIn with a customer the other day who was looking to get in front of potential investors. And when we set up their targeting, we found that other people trying to reach the same audience on LinkedIn were spending something like $100 for a click. Which is insane, but it does happen. So it's just something to be aware of. And again, if you look at this and go, oh, that's way higher than what I was wanting to spend, it's not to say you give up and just don't run your ads. You're just going to really need to make sure that your ads are the best. So great copy, great creative, they're really compelling. You've really shown a great understanding of your audience. And if you are finding that's the case, you might want to have a look and tweak how your audience is set up as well, because certain interests, it could just be one particular interest or one particular behavior you've put in that is making that more competitive for you and putting that price up. So for example, if you are trying to run Facebook ads and you're putting in your competitors' brand names as interest, so you're like, okay, well, I know my audience likes these brands as well, so I'm going to put them in as interest. That's a fantastic idea, and that can definitely work, but you may find it makes your ads more expensive, right? Particularly in certain niches like fashion, they're going to be really competitive because unfortunately everyone else has the same idea, right? So that's something else you can do. Just have a look at your audience, just test, take one interest out and see what difference it makes to that predicted cost. That's going to give you a bit of an idea whether any interests you're trying to target are making it particularly expensive for you. And as a general rule, just anything that's going to be super competitive or that a lot of other people are using is going to make your ads more expensive. So those are generally the 3 things we look at for our clients. And if you're trying to set your own ads budget, we really hope that helps. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I will reply as well.